Hello, everyone. It's our pleasure to host today bi-weekly immigration update, which includes COVID-19 related instructions. My name is Aleksandra Koscielak, and my colleague here is Rosette Ramos. We are both regulated Canadian immigration consultants, and we have been in practice for several years now. How are you, Rosette?
I'm good, Aleksandra. Thank you. I'm glad to be of service to our CAPIC organization by providing this update to the public.
Okay, how have you been since the pandemic started?
Well, all I can say is that this pandemic is keeping me on my toes. Due to the constant changes in Canadian immigration policies brought about by the pandemic, I need to always make sure to update my clients on changes that may affect them. I'm glad that today we can share the most recent immigration updates since September 16. Aleksandra, would you like to start?
Sure. So we would like to start today with the most recent biometrics updates. So there are in fact two updates related to biometrics requests for PR applicants. One for those who has given biometrics in the last 10 years in support of their work permits or study permit application. And the second one is purely COVID-19 related policy procedure for PR applicants who never applied for biometrics before. So referring to the first one, as I said, I'm sorry. As I said before, there is a new biometrics exemption for PR applicants with previous biometrics enrollment on file. So before the last change, PR applicant had to go for a new biometrics regardless if they had them still valid due to previous work or study permit applications or not. So obviously, since Service Canada offices were closed, it was quite impossible to do this, to do new biometrics in Canada. So IRCC is really responding to this issue, letting or qualifying applicants with valid biometrics, like previous old biometrics, to use them for the PR applications too. And the second update refers to Service Canada centers reopening for some services, including biometrics.
To add on to what Alex explained, if the applicant has done biometrics over the last 10 years in support of any application in Canada, they do not need to pay biometrics fee now if submitting a permanent resident application. If they pay, then IRCC will process the refund automatically.
Yeah, correct. So Service Canada is reopening in-person services in select offices, but it's just by appointment only. This began on September 21st, so just like about a week ago. So IRCC or Service Canada will be the one to contact the client, the applicant, not the other way around. So some services which are reopening, it's for example, Vancouver Expo for citizenship knowledge testing and citizenship hearings. IRCC offices in Etobicoke and Montreal are reopening for permanent resident cards pick-up or permanent residence determination, such as interview to determine the client's status. For asylum seekers, offices in Calgary, Edmonton, Hamilton, and Niagara Falls reopen for clients who need to collect or submit documents, provide the biometrics information, or come in for an interview. And actually, many Service Canada offices reopen for permanent resident applications waiting to give the biometrics if they haven't done biometrics in the last 10 years. So if you're a permanent resident applicant in Canada waiting to give you biometrics, you will receive a call from Service Canada in the next few days, weeks, or months to book a biometric appointment. And if I may elaborate about this a little bit, I will share my experience. So last week I got 2 calls from Service Canada. I'm based in Calgary, so one was for my Calgary-based client. So they just took the client phone number and they told they would contact him directly. A little bit more complicated was for the client who lives in another province. My client lives in Ontario. So actually Service Canada for now doesn't have procedures yet in place what to do if the representative is in one province, one city or town, and the applicant, the client, is in another one. So what they advise to this web form or call IRCC to figure out what the next steps are. And maybe it's also worth to let the client know that it's they should answer the calls from unknown numbers, because they, like in my case, Service Canada called from like it was a hidden ID number, and I know that many people are not answering this type of calls.
Alex, on top of that, IRCC also streamlined the permanent resident landing process. For several months now, we are receiving emails from IRCC that our clients are now landed permanent residents. For those who are in Canada, where they used to be required to go to the border to book an appointment with IRCC for the landing procedure, they are now just emailing the confirmation of permanent resident document. So to be clear, approved permanent residents are exempted from the travel restrictions and can definitely enter Canada as long as they have their quarantine plan. Another update. Now this time it is concerning the travel restrictions for temporary residents that is still in effect until September 30, and with a high possibility of being extended. Though IRCC accepts and processes all applications, they prioritize processing only those that are exempt from the travel restrictions. So I repeat, everybody can submit any application, but processing priorities are those that are exempted from the travel restrictions. So a link to the list of those who are exempted from the travel restrictions is provided for you to access here in this video. If you submitted your application prior to the travel restrictions, for your application to be prioritized, you need to contact IRCC via their designated email. You need to inform them how you are meeting the exemption criteria, why you are traveling for a non-discretionary or non-optional purpose, and that you need to provide of documentation to prove your claim. Now, if you are not exempted from the travel restriction, and if your application has been finalized and your temporary resident visa is approved, please remember that it does not mean that you can now enter Canada. You need to wait for the travel restrictions to be lifted before you can do so. To move on to the next topic, those applicants who apply for permanent resident through the paper-based provincial nominee program that was received at the federal level IRCC prior to March 18, 2020 under a job offer stream, their applications will be put on hold up to March 17 of next year. This applies if applicant lost job due to the pandemic, and this is in order to give them time to find new employment. This means that the applicant needs to inform the nominating province or territory of their situation. Then the province or the territory will then request IRCC to put their application on hold. IRCC will then inform the applicant via email instructions on how to submit additional documentation.
Yeah, thank you for that, Rosette. Like a lot is going on these days. Actually, since pandemic started, like updates are every day, almost. So we can say, like, really, immigration is working really, really hard to address concerns of many stakeholders groups, including representatives. So last Thursday, September 24th, Minister of Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship, Marco Mendicino, announced action to speed up spousal application processing and help families build their lives together in Canada, which is like a great news for many people who were in sort of limbo since the COVID started. So they announced that they increased already by 66% a number of officers processing family application, and they're also leveraging some new technology as a pilot to digitize paper application, so they can be processed more efficiently by RCC employees working remotely or at any various work sites. So we have heard that since March, since COVID started, all these paper-based applications were piling up in the mailroom, So now IRCC aims to accelerate, prioritize, and finalize, and guess what? Approximately 6,000 spousal applications each month from almost now, from October until December 2020. So I believe this is like really, really exciting news for those waiting for their families to be together. And let me cover one more quick update. Work permits for workers in the film and television industry entering from the US are now eligible for priority processing, like only 14 days, which is also amazing because especially like Ontario and Quebec rely a lot on the film producers from the States coming to Canada. So it's great for our economy.
Perfect. Thank you, Aleksandra. It was fun doing this with you today. That's it for now. If you need more clarifications on the updates discussed, please do contact your regulated immigration representative for a more detailed guidance. Thank you for tuning in on the bi-weekly immigration update. Make sure to subscribe so you will not miss out on the next bi-weekly update. Thank you.
Thank you, Rosette. It was a pleasure to be with you today.